on the agenda to our 10:15 advertised public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is Norman. Oh, there you go. There you go. Bring the guy doing the work with you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, so we are here for our annual Community Development Block Grant public hearing. I'm going to just go over a little bit of background about the program. So, as I mentioned, we refer to this as the CDBG program. We apply for this program every year on behalf of the municipalities and rural communities in Sussex County. The CDBG funding comes from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and is allocated to Sussex and Kent counties through DSHA on a competitive basis. We have about $2 million that is available for application. DSHA governs the grant process and what is eligible for us to apply for. Typically, that's housing rehab, sewer and water hookups, demolition, and some small infrastructure. So the bulk of this funding usually goes towards owner-occupied housing rehabilitation. It maintains our existing housing stock throughout the county. Our rehabs include, it's pretty comprehensive: roofing, doors, windows, electrical, plumbing, energy upgrades. In order to qualify, a home must be owner-occupied. It must be the primary residence of the applicant. They must be low to moderate income, which is 80% and below of the area median income, which I'll get into. The home must be insured, and county taxes and utilities must be current. We do apply a lien to the property for our investment. It does depend on how much we invest, whether it's a 5-year or 10-year lien, but it is zero interest forgivable lien. So this is the current income guidelines from HUD. For a 2-person eligible household, you must earn $56,900 or less. So typically anyone on a fixed income is eligible. And just to share sort of our recent closeout for the last funding cycle that we completed, which was our fiscal year 21, the county's fiscal year 22. We received about $2.1 million in our CDBG and home funding, which also is for home repairs. And I'm not going to read all those, but those are all the various target areas that we received funding for, several towns and rural areas. We assisted 134 households, 262 people. The majority of them were elderly. A significant amount were female head of household and disabled. A variety of demographics in terms of race and ethnicity. And just as a note, County Council provided an additional $300,000 that we used to assist with emergency repairs. And just to touch on what we are currently working on is our 22 funding and our 23 funding, both right around $2 million. Again, a variety of municipalities received funding, and we're basically completed our 22 funding, and we are well on our way to finishing up our 23 funding already. And in both years, County Council again provided $300,000 for emergency repairs. So Mike's going to touch on just a couple of things that to kind of discuss what we've experienced the past year in terms of our contractors, the market, and some program guideline changes.
Okay, just to touch on a few things here is in the contractors, retaining contractors. It seems like we're doing a very good job with that, keeping the contractors we have. Recruiting new ones, we're always looking for new ones, especially the HVAC, electrical, and plumbing fields. That's a group of people that it's hard to find. If anybody's trying to reach out for one, they're hard to come by. In the marketplace, we talk about project cost. As we all know, things have gone up higher and higher all the time ever since COVID. That's when our things really kicked into gear as far as price-wise. And even though we're receiving more money per house than we've ever done, I wish I could say we're doing way more work than we ever have done, which it's not true. The cost of everything has gone sky high. Between the labor costs and the cost of products and stuff, it's outrageous. As far as looking into the other parts of it is this: we have more as far as keeping contractors. We look into things we have to have for a contract, have to have insurance and license and normal things like that. But in the county, we add another little twitch to it. It's called a sam.gov. It's another type of licensing that every contractor has to have to deal with the county. And it's something that you have to re-up every year. It's something new. Everything's on computer. A lot of our contractors are older guys, and that's a little stretch for some of them. And it's a level that some new contractors have a job to come on board with. Because, you know, we have your license, we have your insurance, and now you want us to get another license on top of that. And that's been a real struggle. And we've had it over a year now, so now that it's relapsed to, we have to redo it again. And so we've lost a few contractors. Some contractors, they balk at it, especially when I'm talking about your HVAC guys, your plumbing and electrical guys. They got plenty of work to begin with. They don't really need us. And so then add another layer of licensing on top of that, it's really tough, really tough. So, and that's something as far as a county, with something we do, but I just want to let you know that as far as keeping and retaining them type of contractors, it's hard to do.
Where did that requirement come from?
It's just for federal funding. Anyone that's dealing with
Okay.
federal funds is required to register.
So it's not something the county put in place, but
Correct.
we
It
did
is a
because of the federal requirement to get the money. Okay.
But what I'm saying to Mr. Vincent is what's happened is in the normal public range, you don't do that.
Right.
Sure. You come to us and we had that on top of everything else. And that's just another layer. And as some of your guys are local guys, maybe 1 or 2 men in a group, they don't want to add that layer to it. That's what I'm saying. So
Could we offer assistance in filling that out, or?
We do, but it's still just, sometimes it's for, some of our contractors are not exactly tech savvy, and so you have to really stay on top of emails and signing into things, and it's just, a lot of our guys work out of the back, out of their truck, and so it's just adds a layer, that's all.
I get it.
We just wanted to make you aware that it just is something that kind of gives us a little bit of an extra struggle to keep local contractors, that's all.
It's not we can control, though.
No, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's it. Okay, so some pictures of our recent projects.
this is a Milton job. It was a job that's Historical Society in Milton really took hold of it, really didn't want us to do a whole lot with it. We went to bat with them, our historical guy here at the county, and we went to their meetings and stuff. This is probably one of the top worst 5 houses in the town of Milton, I guarantee you, before we started. Even as bad as the picture looks there, it was way worse than that when we got there. We stepped up, did a lot of work. This is it now. It's a gem on the street now. But like I've told you before, we took the ugly duckling and we made it pretty. Now there's other jobs that everybody's stepping up and doing now, because now this is the bad house no more. So it turned out great. Homeowners are tickled to death. Older couple. Probably is, and this is really a big thing for today, is insulation and keeping a person in the house and not be able to have such a high energy bill. That's really about everything we're doing today. The energy bills are outrageous. In this here, we wrapped the house with insulation, put siding on it, new windows and stuff. It really made a big difference in energy bill in this house.
Was the Historical Society happy?
Yes,
You got done?
yes, we did. We had a great, actually, if Mayor Collier's here, we had we went to their actual historical committee meetings and presented, and it was approved through them. So, yeah, it went well.
Okay, this is a house just within 100 yards of the town of Millsburg boundary lines. This is a lady, her grandson is deaf, and her son is deaf as well. So we had to step up a little bit here. We did some work on this house, HVAC, some siding and windows. But also we dealt with the deaf. We had to do the strobes, smoke alarms and stuff where you can't, sound. We got to do something a little different there. And we've done a few of these, and really it's turned out great working with this and to help out somebody that needs more than just the normal things we do.
And we've been able to engage with a really great sign language interpreting company, and so we make sure that they're available and on site for our initial write-up and for contract signing. So that's.
This is the Friends product here. We got those. Okay, this is a house at Blades. Another elderly person, the same thing, like I said, for energy efficiency again. No insulation in the house at all. Built probably in the 40s, late 30s, early 40s. Put new insulation on it, new windows and doors, and that's the finished product right there. And turned out fantastic. Okay. This house here, a couple of you on the board here probably remember this job. We took Todd and Gina on a road trip back in August. And we went to Laurel and I met this lady. Todd shaking his head. Yeah. This house, the problem with this house, the roof was just about totally gone. This street on 7th Street is a street of houses that are identical. They built them all this exact same way. Well, hers was the worst one on the corner. That's the one we pick out. And this is what we did for her. Every time it rained, she had empty buckets. Buckets everywhere. And she's like about late 70s. Okay, when we went in there and did it, this is what the house turned out to be. It's tremendous. It's awesome. She was tickled to death. She wanted to give Todd a big hug when we were there. And it turned out to be an awesome job for her. And she couldn't be happier. And we did another house in Laurel as well. Lady, she lives by herself. Her daughter and her husband both just passed away. And so she's actually lived by herself there on a limited income. And it's another house, just couldn't keep it warm enough. So it got down to 2 rooms. She lived in the kitchen, and she turned her living room into a bedroom. So she couldn't afford it with nothing else. So we were able to come in here, and the finished product on this one here did that, put insulation, windows and doors, and did a tremendous job. And able to keep in the house now. It's the difference of being in the house or not being in the house. That's what we did. So she'd stay in the house.
Okay. I did want to just mention that, again, we do greatly appreciate County Council's support of the office with $300,000 every year for emergency repairs. It really helps us leverage our federal dollars and helps us do that much more with projects or emergency. We can respond so much quicker with council funding. And we also have spent an additional $2 million in ARPA funding for home repairs. And the home that Mike mentioned that Todd Jean also visited, it was a leverage project. That was an ARPA and CDBG project. It just really allowed us to do a thorough and comprehensive home repair with $40,000. There's really only so much you can do now with the cost of everything. And just some additional new initiatives, as we've mentioned previously, we have the new Workforce Housing Initiative, the Housing Trust Fund, and then the ARPA funds that, in addition to home repairs, also go towards helping with delinquent tax fees for applicants to the home repair program, the emergency repairs. We've also assisted with some repairs in the Ellendale Water District, weatherization, and some roofing. And again, just a quick note about what we've done with the rehab for ARPA. We started using those funds in April of 2022. We've spent over $2 million already. We've completed 129 rehabs with that funding, 13 more under contract, and we've used that for roofing, weatherization, emergency repairs, and full-scale repairs. And then a quick note about our county council funds and how those are used. We spend up to $10,000. We use it for households with no running water, no heat. They need handicap accessibility, ramps, shower accessibility, severe leaking roofs, dangerous electrical, plumbing issues like busted pipes due to weather, and we really try to prioritize those households that are disabled or over 65 or extremely low income. And so just a quick from last year's funding that was completed already, it's all across the gamut of what we've been using the funding for, but a lot of plumbing repairs, heater repairs, kind of some miscellaneous combo repairs, and then water pumps and wells that we've done with that funding. So we've already spent quite a bit of our current allotment for this year, but you can see we've helped over 100 households every year with just the county council funding. And Mike's going to just talk about, so we're now focused on our current, the grant application that's due at the end of this month, and just what that process looked like, beginning with our public hearing process that kicks off in October.
So back as early as the 7th of November, we started our public hearings. But before that, we actually asked every town to be part of it. Every town in the county gets a letter or emails asking to be part of our program. And we have a total of 11 towns accepted, be able to go into the process to do the public hearings with. So we since November the 7th to January 8th, we wrapped up our last public hearing in our towns. And now we're waiting for that information to come back to us so Brandy can do our information he set out for funding. One big thing is a waiting list. That's a lot of our towns are getting enough the people on board for a waiting list to be able to help them out. Like CDBG has at least a minimum of 4 names on the list before we could actually apply for their behalf. And that's something we struggle with a lot with some different towns. The rural communities, we always ask for at least 3 or 4 rural communities every year along with our towns. We're going to back it down a little bit this year because our outside our county-wide area, which is our biggest area, which is our biggest list of names, has grown so great. We need to get that knocked down a little bit, so we're going to ask for less communities and more on that amount of money to be able to help with that list, be able to get it knocked down. Because if you're waiting on a waiting list 4, 5, 6 years, it's too long. We need to get it quicker than that, be able to get to you and take care of the problem. So that's a process we're going to try to use this year to try to get more money to that kitty to be able to help out with that problem.
And I'm not going to go into this for your sake, but I did work with our GIS department. Megan Nearboss and her team were fantastic. They took our existing countywide waiting list of over 800 or 900 names and basically created this really great interactive mapping tool that will allow us to kind of create new areas that we can target based on where we have new applications. So we can kind of see where there's a concentration of applications. So let's say, if Oak Orchard is showing that we have a significant need, we can now begin focusing our application efforts on these communities that have this demand that we can see in real time based on applications that we receive. So this is the areas that we will be applying for. These are all the towns that Mike alluded to that we went and did a public hearing for, and they have asked us to apply for them for home repairs. And then we have elected to choose Coverdale, Crossroads, and Greentop as our rural communities this year. And I apologize for this one. I think you should have received a copy of this in the packet as well. But you can see we tried to identify based on the need for each individual municipality, based on their waiting list and the demand that we know exists. The application amount is higher for those communities that have a higher demand, lower for those that don't. And then, as Mike mentioned, we are asking for more money than we usually do for the target rural communities to try to make a little bit more of an effort and kind of ensure that they have this long-term sustainability, and then we can focus on new communities going forward. So it's about a $2 million ask again this year. So that's all I have for public hearing. If anybody has any questions for me, and then I have resolutions after any comment.
Well, I'd just like to say the first thing is certainly thank you and your staff, Mike, and then your staff for all you do. We're very blessed to have the people we've got doing this job. And we certainly, as you well know, have a need in this county. And I think between the CBDG and the county council, we're trying to address that need and help our people that are in certainly some cases dire straits.
Yeah,
if you've got to run around your house with buckets of cats of water coming through the roof, that's not a good way to live.
Yeah.
We are trying. We've continued to try, and we'll continue to keep on trying. But certainly thank you very, very much from this council for all that you do and all your staff does.
Good work.
Anybody else?
I totally agree. I think it's actually the most cost-effective way to, maintaining our housing stock is a lot cheaper than going out and trying to create new.
Right.
And so I think every dollar we spend there is a good investment. So I appreciate everything.
Okay, anybody? Okay. You have resolutions?
I do. I don't know
Prior
if any public
to,
comment.
it's a public hearing.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
I thought read resolution first before we talked about it. That's okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on the Community Development Block Grant program? Is there anyone in attendance that would like to address this? Seeing none, is there anyone listening remotely that would like to opine?
At this time, there is no one on the line.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. President, we can close the public hearing on this matter and close the public record if council desires.
We'll close public hearing. If it's okay with council, close public record. And Mr. Moore reached, or you got resolutions?
I have resolutions.
Okay.
If Mr. Moore would like to read these, that would be great.
You may go ahead.
I'm just kidding. And I do want to just say thank you to Mike Jones, who's our rehab program coordinator, and all of my staff. We've done an incredible job spending funding this year, and we are, I'm just really proud of all their work this year.
As you should be.
Okay, so the first resolution that I have for you is affirmatively furthering fair housing. Whereas Sussex County Council recognizes the importance of fair housing for the citizens of Sussex County, and whereas the Sussex County Council supports the goals of the federal fair housing law, now therefore be it resolved that the Sussex County Council heartily encourages all parties involved in the renting, selling, or financing of housing in Sussex County to ensure that no person shall, on the grounds of race, color, national origin, religion, creed, sex, marital status, familial status, age, sexual orientation, source of income, or disability, be discriminated against or denied a fair and equal opportunity to housing. And be it further resolved that the Sussex County Council take meaningful actions that, taken together, address significant disparities in housing needs and in access to opportunity, replacing segregated living patterns with truly integrated and balanced living patterns, transforming racially or ethnically concentrated areas of poverty into areas of opportunity, and fostering and maintaining compliance with civil rights and fair housing laws. And be it further resolved that the Sussex County Council, when acting as administrator of a community block grant, is hereby authorized to take such actions as deemed necessary to affirmatively further fair housing in connection with the said community development block grant.
Pleasure, council. I'll make a motion. Motion, Mr. Schaefer. Second.
Second.
Mr. Hudson. Questions on the motion? Take the vote, Mr. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mrs. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Hudson.
Yes.
Mr. Riley.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carried. Next.
Okay, last one is the authorization to submit applications. Be it known, the Sussex County Council resolves to apply for community development funds from the Delaware State Housing Authority in accordance with appropriate regulations governing community development block grants for the State of Delaware Community Development Block Grant Program. And whereas the County Administrator, Todd F. Lawson, is hereby authorized to certify that matching funds in excess of $250,000 will be made available upon the approval by the Delaware State Housing Authority. Be it further resolved by the Sussex County Council that Todd F. Lawson, County Administrator, is hereby authorized to submit the fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant applications with all understandings and certifications contained therein to the Delaware State Housing Authority.
Pleasure, council.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Schaefer. Second.
Second.
Mr. Riley. Questions on the motion? Take the vote, Mr. Schaefer.
Yes.
Mrs. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Hudson.
Yes.
Mr. Riley.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.